Hello everyone, this is Toby, the Galactic Intuitive. How are you guys doing today? It's Sunday, August the 31st. Wow, where has August gone? So how's everybody doing? I hope you all are well and enjoying your weekend. The message today is freedom. And if you watched yesterday's video, then you know I was spending some time out at the lake. So I was out there for a few hours and it was so good for all of me to be out there and have some quiet time, to be by the water and just soak in all of that elemental wonderfulness and healing that I had decided if the weather was, there goes the nose. If the weather was nice this morning, I was going to go back again. And while I have the opportunity and while the weather is really nice. And so I got up early this morning. The weather was phenomenal, not just nice, it was fantastic. And so I started preparing to get my stuff together to go back out to the lake. And let's see, how will we describe this part of me? The overdoer had a whole laundry list of things that I could get done if I stayed home. And then also said, well, you can always go tomorrow because it is a holiday tomorrow. However, there are a lot of reasons why tomorrow is not going to be nearly as optimum as today. Optimal. I'm not saying the right words today. So I went ahead, I ignored that voice. It kept chattering on, but I had some hesitation. There was about 15 or 20 minutes of strong hesitation where I agreed with that overdoing voice and agreed that I have a laundry list of things to do and things that I want to do for you guys, things for my business, things at my house, things, there's just a really long list. However, I decided that I was going to go ahead and go because I needed it, because I needed the break. And I'm sharing this with you guys because I sense that some of y'all might need a break too. And oftentimes the messages are within our own experience, right? So I got everything packed up. I headed out there. It was a beautiful drive. It's about 25-30 minutes from my house. And as I was driving out, I go to this state park that's a string of islands that are connected by like little bridges. And so I was going across the first little stretch of land there that goes to the main island. And the sun was glistening across the water, and there was long grass along the lakeside glistening in the sun and blowing in the wind, and it was just gorgeous. It was so beautiful. So I stopped, I pulled over, ran over, took some photos and some video of that I'll put at the end here because I'd love for you guys to see that as well. But I mention that because it's those moments that, why am I feeling really emotional? It's those moments that that I take those breaks for. And it is also those moments that I want more of. I don't want those to be the exception to my daily experience. And as I was considering that, my guides, had been chatting with my Sirian guide. And so he said, as I was in the middle of kind of in that energy of that reflection and taking those pictures and taking the video and just really being in that moment of wonder and awe and beauty and aliveness. That my guide said, let me see if I can get this correct. He said, freedom is a choice. And he acknowledged that I am often speaking about my desire for freedom. And he showed me like, it was kind of like watching myself on a movie screen. Me, earlier this morning, in those moments when the overdoer was convincing me or attempting to convince me to stay at home and do the overdoing. And my guide said, if freedom is what you want, why would you choose to, how did he put it? Why would you choose to continually add restriction? That was it. Why would you choose to continually add restriction to your life, to your days, to your moments? So when you're faced with an option, that's an option and an opportunity. We're just making up words over here. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now I've made myself red. That's too funny. When you're faced or given an opportunity, you're faced with an option. I guess that's why they came together, because how are you going to view it when you're faced with a choice? Are you viewing it as like you have options, or are you viewing it as opportunities? Those seem like they're very, very similar, but there's a slight difference in the perception there. There's a slight difference in the energy behind both of those. And so if you're looking at those options and you are desirous of more freedom, then which opportunity or which choice leads you in that direction, leads you away from restriction and towards freedom? Yeah. So I sat with that all morning out by the lake though. And I had actually taken, it was real, I laughed at myself as I was packing things up, because I had this very heavy backpack full of, I had a couple card decks, I had journals, I had my markers and my pad of paper, and I actually, and this was part of the reason why he brought through this message to me, is because although I had chosen to go to the lake, there was kind of a caveat in there that I was allowing myself to go to the lake. I had kind of forgotten about this. I was allowing myself to go to the lake if I took care of those things that were actually work related. Now, they are things that I enjoy. However, at that time, I needed just time for me and just to sit and be and to soak in the beauty of the nature and the animals and the water and the light around me. So I had forgotten that I had made that agreement with myself. I didn't take a single thing out of my backpack. Took some snacks out, and I took my sunglasses out, and well, I take that back. I did take out my little stand for my phone so I could record the water and the sounds and have it be still, because I have a tendency to, yeah, it looks still, and then I go back and watch it and it's a little shaky. So that was the only thing I took out though, those things. I didn't take out my journals. I didn't write a single word. I didn't draw. I didn't channel, because that was the other thing. I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to do these certain activations that I know are coming through and that I will do, but I had packed so many doing things into my being time that it would have totally taken away, maybe not totally, but it certainly would have diminished the value and the freedom in that period of time. And interestingly, I didn't stay as long today as I did yesterday, but there was more value in it for me because I didn't take any of that stuff out. Now, I'm glad I did the video yesterday out at the lake, and I really enjoyed that. And I needed to do some writing for me yesterday as well. However, two things can be true at the same time, right? That was valuable yesterday, and today it was more valuable for me today to not do those things. Not do a reading, not even take the cards out, not even look at the box, just to be. And it was fantastic. It was fantastic. I chose freedom. And I said that right at 11:11 on the timer. So these are important things to keep in mind as we are, a lot of the messages coming through recently have been about this time period between the eclipses, or between the Virgo new moons, being about this fertile field of germination and of really planting with intention. Well, no, it's gone beyond the planting because we've already planted it. But there's an importance to, what am I trying to say here? There's an importance to not take this period of waiting and feel like we need to do more. So allowing the pause to be the pause and to take full advantage of that. And if we've planted seeds of freedom, then why are we choosing restriction every day? Why? Now, certainly for me, I have a ton of responsibilities that are non-negotiables right now. And I know the same is true for you guys as well. I mean, everyone has a varying degree of those in their lives. So we don't always have to look at the big things to change before we can. I'm tripping up on this because I was going to say we don't always have to look to the big things to change before we feel the way it is that we want to feel, that we have accomplished that manifestation of experiencing life the way we want to experience. And so I'm tripping up on that because we actually need to feel that before the thing happens. That's how the thing happens, is the feeling of it. And so taking these little, even short segments of time to choose to feel the way you want to feel the intentions you've planted in these seeds we've been talking about, that's what nurtures them. And that's what puts the frequency out there that brings it into full germination, full bloom, full harvest. So choosing freedom, or whatever it is for you, whatever that thing is for you that you have been desiring to experience more in your life. I feel like freedom and peace are a couple of very, I'm hearing potent themes. So across the collective. And part of that is because that's the direction we're shifting towards. And look, y'all, my hair has got to do something weird every time. Anyway. just ignore that. We are shifting towards that, and it's important for us to embody that now before. If we're not embodying it now in this space that we're in, we are not going to see it come into full fruition in our reality. That's the way that works. That's the way energy works. And I forget sometimes, I get so caught up in the doing that I forget how important those, there's a lot of intention behind my doing, but I, in my overdoing, have a tendency to diminish the value of the intention behind the being. So allow yourself to be and to choose freedom, or to choose whatever it is that you associate with freedom over choosing restriction. And really being aware of what you're choosing, because oftentimes we associate the doing with an achievement, which we then equate to freedom or accomplishment or success or abundance, right? But if we're not able to be in that frequency without the doing, then we're chasing that thing. And when we're chasing that thing, that implies that it's running away from us. So there's an important balance there. All right, I am going to leave it there. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you so very much. I hope you are enjoying your weekend and being intentional with your choices and following what it is that your heart desires. All right, sending you guys so much love. Thank you again for being here. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you.